Hey, everybody. We're talking about John Oliver's unfair smear of a third-party candidate. So the deal is Jill Stein, who actually has a great platform, if she was able to get into the debates, people would go, hey, I like everything she says. So that's why they don't let her in. And then they have comedians like John Oliver pretend to want to do a serious segment about third parties and see what they're really about. But what he really did was just use bullshit, underhanded tactics and deceptive leaps of logic and misframing of things. Look, we have 2 other videos about it up. Go watch those. And this will be the last one we do. Because whenever I put a video out, people are always like, what about the quantitative easing? What about the quantitative easing? Well, John Oliver was dishonest about that, too. He did it in a bullshit way, and I'm going to show you right now.
But she is right. Student debt is a massive $1.3 trillion problem. Cancelling it is Stein's flagship proposal. It is to her campaign what the border wall is to Donald Trump's.
Okay, so now he's comparing... Again, this is very sly what he's doing. He's doing all these bullshit tactics. So again, when you're doing a comedy piece like this, what gives it its oomph is its ring of truth. And what he keeps doing is doing deceptive bullshit. Instead of trying to expose truth, he's using comedy to confuse the truth, right? So that's what he did right there, comparing forgiving student debt, which is a great thing that a lot of people say should happen, to a frickin' border wall. Did you see what he did? First, he spent the first part of the thing smearing third-party candidates, saying how kooky and loony they are, and giving lip service till we want to take a look at Jill Stein. But he compared it to, he did all that stuff. Look at the other videos. He misframes everything on purpose, and this is ridiculous. He's like, oh, it's just like Donald Trump's border wall. No, it's not. It's nothing like Donald Trump's border wall. But that's, again, so there's your first tip. He's bullshitting and full of it. The other videos I did were your other tips, because he can't go 30 seconds without being dishonest, framing something disingenuously, or making a leap of logic and using bait and switch with his comedy. This is really bad stuff. All right, so here we go.
You would assume that she has a well-thought-out, coherent plan.
You would assume that she has a well-thought-out, coherent plan. Yes, she does. She wants to take the debt that people have incurred going to school, college, and then she wants to take money from the federal government, pay off those debts for those people. You know how we paid off the debts from the banks when they had that BS mortgage-backed securities? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, that's what we did for them. She could do the same thing. Okay, but he's pretending that she has to know the intricacies of economic policy. You don't need to know that. When John F. Kennedy said we're going to go to the moon by the end of the decade, John Oliver would have said, you don't even know how to build a jet engine. He doesn't even know how to fly a plane. No, he's going to hire scientists who know how to do that stuff, and they're going to do it. He has the vision. And so again, here, this is dumb comedy. This is dumb comedy.
Campaign is the only one that will do for young people what our misleaders saw fit to do for Wall Street not that long ago. It was about $4 trillion in free money in the form of so-called quantitative easing, which is a magic trick that basically people don't need to understand any more about than that it is a magic trick.
No, it isn't, though.
Yes, it is, though. Yes, it is. Because it's the people in power of the money, they just decide what the F they want to do with it. And then the Federal Reserve invents money. And then they give it to the big banks. And then they take off all those garbage mortgage securities that they wrote for properties that are zero worthless, and they buy them. That's what it is. And it can be more complicated than that. It doesn't have to be. So here we go. So that's when she says it's a magic trick, it is a magic trick, because you don't go out and raise the money. You don't go out and get it from the economy. You don't tax anybody for this. You just go ahead and invent the money. So that's what she means. And John, if you don't understand that, maybe you shouldn't be doing this comedy piece.
Very complicated monetary policy tool. And while it might not be important for most people to understand it, you certainly have to.
No, she doesn't. First of all, Alan Greenspan admitted to Hillary Clinton he didn't understand credit default swaps. He didn't understand derivatives, that they're so complicated they don't even understand them. Alan Greenspan said that. Hillary Clinton gave a speech to Goldman Sachs where she said the same thing, that she didn't understand them even after 15 minutes of having it explained to her. So you're wrong. The president doesn't need to know the intricacies of policy, John. Again, if you don't understand how this government works, you don't understand quantitative easing, you don't understand how American politics works, maybe you shouldn't be doing this. But I think you do understand all those things, and you don't care that you're doing a dishonest smear. Because this is a disservice to comedy.
How come
Jim
there
Earl,
aren't
go
any,
ahead.
how come there aren't any Democrats whining about her being English mansplained?
Yeah, where are they? Exactly.
I don't think you do. Because for a start, while Jill Stein has said the president has the authority to cancel student debt using quantitative easing, that is absolutely wrong.
That is not wrong. That is not wrong. That is the president appoints the Fed chief. I don't understand. So you think that right now when they did quantitative easing, you don't think that was the president wanting to do quantitative easing? You think if the president was against quantitative easing, we would have did $4 trillion in quantitative easing if the president was against it? Or if the president's for where are you from, John? Where are you getting your ideas?
The president does not have that authority, only the Federal Reserve does. And it does not take marching orders from the White House because...
Which is so naive of him. Do you not understand how things work, John? No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
That would be extremely dangerous. You don't want to give president...
Would it be as extremely dangerous as, I don't know, repealing Glass-Steagall and crashing the economy within 10 years? Would it be, I don't know, what a knucklehead this guy is.
The power to just create new money whenever they want to.
They do. That's what they do. That is what quantitative easing is, John. John, that is what it is.
Think of it like this. If Joe Exotic is elected...
Again, no, it has nothing to do with that guy. This has nothing to do with that guy. He's been using this third-party mental to smear Jill Stein, who's a Harvard-educated doctor who has a great environmental platform. So he keeps doing this. No, it has nothing to do. And he's trying. See, Jill Stein's kooky because she doesn't understand the intricacies of quantitative easing when he doesn't understand it. And yes, we can do all this, but I guess voting for the Iraq War, crashing the economy, deregulating Wall Street, all that stuff makes perfect sense.
You don't want him to be able to order the Fed to create money for the most lavish tiger-themed orgy the nation has ever seen, because they would then have to print the $3,500 it would take to do that. So that issue alone makes her plan a non-starter.
No, it doesn't. So I'm done. I have a whole thing worked out. I can't stand it anymore. I can't listen to him babble anymore. He's just 100,000% wrong about everything. So I got Robert Scheer. I don't know if you know who Robert Scheer is, but that's a picture of him. Legendary reporter, first guy in Vietnam, the whole deal. He's 11 times nominated for Pulitzer Prizes. He runs truthdig.com right now. He's a real truth teller. And he's right about everything. He's never, So here, I asked him that question. I said, is it really a kooky idea? Is John Oliver saying quantitative easing? Because to me, it seems like the Fed buys mortgage-backed securities, which means worthless mortgages. They take them off the hands of the bank, or they could buy student loan back. Why wouldn't they be able to do that? I go, is this a kooky idea? I asked Robert Scheer, who wrote a book all about banking. It's entitled The Great American Stick-Up. Okay, so I got Robert Scheer on the line. I asked him that question about Jill Stein and what John Oliver was saying, and here's what he had to say.
Well, basically quantitative easing is the Fed printing money to do whatever it wants. And what it did was they printed money to let the banks off the hook and lend them money for next to nothing, and then they can turn around and charge people even 25, 30% if they feel like, and they can use that money that they're getting basically at no cost to pay off their debts and obligations. So Jill Stein was absolutely right. If the Fed wants to, it can make money available for any purpose.
The Fed wants to make money available for any purpose. But I'm sure he's wrong. And John Oliver's right, the guy telling us to vote for Hillary Clinton. I'm sure he's wrong. 11-time Pulitzer Prize nominated writer who wrote a book about it. I'm sure he's wrong, and John Oliver's right. The corporate comedian who took time out of his week to smear third parties. And by the way, that wasn't the first thing that was the first story John Oliver did on Jill Stein. That should have been like the 41st story he did on her. The first story should have been, look at this great platform she has and all these ideas. And why are they so afraid to let her into the debates and show her to be not crazy? But that's not what he did. He did this. He has a little bit more to say.
And, this whole thing is presented as some kind of very radical thing, But when I went to college, a city college in New York, which was a great college, they didn't have tuition, and in fact, I had free textbooks. And Colin Powell was in my class, and we didn't think that was something radical. We thought that was our right to go to college, and we got into City College, and we thought, the taxpayers are helping us out, and then we're going to be paying a lot of taxes the rest of our life to pay them back. That was the whole deal of public education. And this idea that somehow, even at state universities, kids pay a lot in tuition and you got to go broke and, start out life in debt. That's the radical and dangerous idea. And Jill Stein is absolutely, makes perfect sense. So I don't know what the controversy is about. It's really a choice of where do you want to allocate your resources.
That's kooky.
Crazy. He's nuts. He's kooky. He's a crow. He's eating bird feed. He's nuts like Jill Stein, anti-vax, all made up.
Fairy dust and unicorns.
Fairy dust and unicorn. Let's remember, John Oliver comes from a country where they have about 45 political parties and universal health care. So he actually goes on and says, all right, that's it. Well, so there, I did it. Congratulations, John Oliver. You owe an apology to comedy that I know we'll never get.